In Dominica, there is an extraordinary doctor. And all of our dogs join a call. Hey, this is Sai, and you're watching SAT TV. Big up SAT, big up SAT, big up SAT.
Yo, gang to the Zilla, you're watching SAT Telecom, people, them try, see that, Rasta.
A pleasant good evening. I am Larry Larrock, your presenter for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, young man stopped with 11 charges following Christmas morning shooting incident. In regional news, merchants face new US withholding tax. And on the international scene, Athens hit by Greek transport strike after police raid. And in sports, international regional cricket could return later this year to Guyana. Details of these and other stories after the break.
It's only when we unite as one, then a lot more thing can be done. Stop this useless fight down, killing out your own brother man. Time we rise and all realize we have an enemy in disguise, standing right in the mix of you. Got to know who is who. This is Derek Rapiters and you're watching SAT TV. That's what I have, SAT TV. SAT TV, that's the way to go. Rah! To the world. Ooh diddy, ooh diddy, ooh diddy.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Once again, the Minister of Public Works, Honorable Reuben Blackmore, held another site visit to Grand Fort on its road project. Parliamentary representative for the Grand Fort constituency, Honorable Ivor Stevenson, says this is the continuation of works from Phase 1 of last year. Mr. Stevenson explained that presently the pavement of the road services is going on.
Prior to that, we had failure of the edges of the road here from Ophile in 2011 when we had the heavy rains. And since then, government was able to provide the necessary funds to widen that area. In fact, that was an area just in the whole bridge area, they call it, and the road was very, very, very narrow. And with the failure of sections of the road, it was making it very unsafe for the vehicles that were basically moving to and through that area. So right now, what we're seeing is the continuation of works in that area, and the work is being undertaken by a local contractor, a contractor from the village, and I'm very happy that most of the employers, in fact all the employees, are from the village of Grand Fort.
He noted he is very satisfied with the amount of work taking place in Grand Fort, as in December of 2011 there was a lot of heavy rains. Since then, he says serious excavation work had to be done on the roads.
Where we saw the widening of the road surface and making it very, very, very much wider than it was before. Before, it was so narrow that when you would look down, you would see the bassin, the whole bridge bassin below. That is just tell you exactly how unsafe it was. Right now, we are seeing a much safer road, a much wider road, and we are now seeing the surfacing of the road, which will make it much usable for the persons traversing to and from River Zurich, Grand Fort. Yeah. But I'm very, very much satisfied. And I must say that government has invested and has responded quite well since that failure to ensure that the persons who access Grand Fort can now access on a much safer road.
Contractor on the project, Mr. Paul John Hope, says this is a long-needed project for the residents of Grand Fort and for those traveling on these roads. Mr. John Hope believes the project will be completed at the end of April of 2013.
The project is in 3 sections. As you can see, we have Area 1, which is from there towards to the area where we have the culverts up above the bridge, above the hill there. Around the bridge. And then we have Area 2 from the culverts go up to the flat where we had the big excavation section there. And then we have the huge corner up there, which is an area where a lot of the villagers query about, having that big bin, and you understand? Yes. They have some concern there. Well, that is the third area.
The contractor says so far it has been 333 meters of rigid pavement. However, he is satisfied with the amount of work that is done thus far. He said today gave them 3 weeks on the job, and he must say the young guys are picking up and understanding the true meaning of construction. Honorable Reverend Blackmore says this represents government continued effort to improving Dominica's road networks.
And we have gotten to a point in the development where we know that apart from addressing the main arteries, that is to say the Airport Road, the West Coast Road, and Point Michel going back into Roseau, as you know, that we have done Lally Coco, etc. There's also a need to address the road network in the rural areas. We, to date, have been able to place some attention on the road leading from Rosalie going into Grand Form. It's a very challenged area, and I first of all have to really commend the people of Grand Form for their patience and faith in the government.
He says at the end of this exercise, they would have spent $1.7 million to significantly improve the road in Grand Form. The minister added that a few years ago, they spent $328,000 at the entrance of Rosalie leading to Grand Form. Soon they will be moving to Portsmouth. In other stories, General Secretary of the Dominica Public Service Union, DPSU, Mr. Thomas Layton says a non-salary negotiation which was previously pushed aside by the government has been granted. Mr. Layton stated that the DPSU won the agreement they negotiated for a medical fund for their members. With that, he said the government will now make a contribution of EC $350,000 to the union, which will be reviewed every triennium.
As a result of that, we decided that we may have to review our position with regard to the salaries, since our last position was 3, 3, and 3. And we looked at the benefits that could be derived from such medical assistance fund. And at the meeting yesterday, the decision was taken to try to seek to get the government, in addition to providing the $350,000, to look at a salary increase of 3% for the first year, which, as I said, was already paid, 1% for the second year, and instead of 1.5 for the third year, we'll now be looking at a 2% for the third year.
With this increase, it now means that the DPSU is now looking at a 6% salary increase for the 3-year period. Mr. Layton stated that the government finally approved the medical fund for the public servants means that they are more confident in reaching a mutual agreement in salary negotiations. He stated, however, what the public needs to know is that negotiations, especially during this global financial crisis, cannot just be based on salary increases, as there are other benefits the DPSU needs to look out for its members.
And I believe the union has been very, very innovative and creative when it comes to those things. For example, we have our education assistance fund, where we give members loans of up to $5,000, which they pay over a 4-year period at an interest rate of 5%, and that is to assist them if they are pursuing tertiary level education.
Mr. Layton pointed out that the government also assisted in the establishment of the DPSU's preschool. He said the school has grown significantly as they only made provisions for 25 students. However, this has grown to over 60 students over the years. This shows an upward progression, he said. The DPSU General Secretary added they have been able to get government to give insurance premiums to fire officers, among other negotiations. In further negotiations, Mr. Layton highlighted that in the next triennium, they will be negotiating for pensions.
We are convinced that public officers upon retirement, especially those who came in the service after 1976, who are not entitled to a government pension, but just the Social Security pension, that they will not be able to survive on that pension. And as a result, one of the things that we intend to do is to establish a private pension scheme for our members, and we will be proposing to the government to make a contribution towards the establishment of that scheme.
Mr. Letta stated that DPSU is being very innovative and creative during all negotiations as it relates to what they are asking for on behalf of public servants. He said gratuity was one of the DPSU's major achievements, which were discontinued from 1976. However, they were able to have it reinstated about 15 years ago. The area of non-established employees not being paid for the first 3 days that they are ill and cannot report to work is an issue they will be looking into.
We believe that we have negotiated very, very well to get the government to move from 0% to at least offering you a salary increase plus additional thing. We feel happy about it.
He said although some members were of the view to forget about the medical fund and stick to the salary increases, everyone cannot get what they want, especially during negotiations. So that's where leadership skills kicks in to advise the members on the best proposals. In more news, the public is advised that people who wish to sell food items during the carnival season must obtain proper certification to ensure that all food sold is safe for consumption. This message came from Environmental Health Officer Ms. Tassie Thomas, who stated anytime there are mass gatherings of people, food will be sold and the public safety has to take priority. Ms. Thomas pointed out that although the staff at the Environmental Health Unit is small, they have devised a plan to monitor food safety during mass gathering events throughout the carnival season.
For the vendors on a whole, we are looking at certification. We have to ensure that all our vendors are certified. We have added programs such as education programs, which forms part of the certification process, more programs to our thing this month due to Carnival. So we are calling on all the vendors to come in and get certified, because one of the things we'll be looking forward to is the food ID, the picture food ID on every vendor who is out there preparing and handling food for the Carnival season, whether at the shows or during Carnival Monday and Tuesday.
Any vendor who does not have the vendor certification identification card shows that the person is not certified and will be removed from vending. Vendors must have a permit from the Dominica Police Force and a picture food identification card from the Environmental Health Department. They must also have a permit from the Roseau City Council, depending on the location within the city which they intend to vend. Ms. Thomas stated we all need to pass on these requirements to people who will be vending, so they follow the necessary procedures to get certified and save themselves any disappointment or embarrassment.
Now, this year we are so happy that the outer court, which is the basketball court at the main event center, the Pottersville Savannah, has been really cleared, because this area has really been a danger zone. And I mean, last year it was really terrible because there was absolutely no lighting in the area, and everybody wants to have an open flame. So this year the Festival Commission has gone an extra mile to provide these vendors with all the amenities that they need to vend, and they have brought them inside the Carnival City. So no vendors will be allowed to be on the sidewalks in this area, at least 50 yards from this area, from the Carnival City, vending anything.
With the vendors being inside Carnival City, she pointed out that it would be much safer for the public and vendors, while making the job of environmental health officers easier. Ms. Thomas is urging the vendors to ensure they have water, bins for garbage, and that they are well attired at all times. She said they should also have their food handlers' ID cards visible at all times. Environmental health officers will be present at all Carnival events, including Carnival Monday and Tuesday on February 11th and 12th, inspecting vendors to ensure that their stalls are sanitary and the food is safe.
We do not want persons ending up at the casualty department with food poisoning. That's why we do what we do. That's why, even though we are so small in number, we try to put something together in order to monitor these activities. Because, you know, during Carnival, it's like, not just Carnival, but events like that, most times people it's like, it's a full stomach that counts, and it's like they don't even care about their own health. So somebody has to look after their well-being. So this is what we are there for. So
vendors must seek permission from the Dominica Festivals Committee to vend inside Carnival City. The Environmental Health Unit is urging all vendors to put their best foot forward and do their best to give people food that is safe, food that is wholesome to eat and not contaminated. The Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities, DAPD, on Thursday, January 24th, celebrated their 30th anniversary through a launching ceremony. A disability may be physical, cognitive, mental, sensory, emotional, and developmental, or some combination of these. In particular cases, a disability may be present from birth or occur during a person's lifetime. Vice President of the DAPD, Mr. Michael Murphy, says they will be hosting various activities that will coincide with their 4th year sustainable and strategic program.
Fascinated by the fact that the government of Dominica on the 1st of October last year did in fact ratify the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities along with its optional protocol. This has served more or less as a stimulating factor for the DAPD. We are eager to get on with the work of the disability movement in Dominica. And you will see from the activities that we have planned that the Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities is well on its way to achieving most of its goals.
He noted the goals set for 2012 were achieved, and he believes this is a significant achievement. The main achievement was convincing the government to ratify the convention which makes provisions for persons with disabilities. He explained that there are 2 types of disasters which create disabilities. They are human and natural disasters. He said, for example, he became visually impaired due to a disease called glaucoma. Executive Director Mrs. Nathalie Murphy added that because presently there are many activities taking place in Dominica, they had to be very careful with their list of activities.
Now the next major, or the first major event that we will be having is on February 10th, when we will be, February 11th, when we will be having, taking part in Carnival celebrations with our T-shirt band. And we have to thank our friends from Japan for again sponsoring this event. And we're hoping, we know that the media are going to be there to really capture the moment and see how persons with disabilities really enjoy themselves at Carnival.
President of the DAPD, Mr. Michael Alexander St. Louis, read the press statement.
On October 26 this year, our disability movement here in Dominica will realize a major milestone when it celebrates 30 years as the representative voice of and for persons with disabilities. At that time, people with disabilities were catered for by 3 institutions which provided limited special education and sheltered employment services with little or no opportunity for future growth and development. The arrival of the Dominica Association of Disabled People, as it was called then, with its philosophy of self-help, self-advocacy, self-reliance, and self-representation, was somehow misunderstood.
DAPD will be hosting activities throughout the year, starting with the Carnival T-shirt band on February 11th. SAT TV News will keep you posted with the activities of the organization. And in more news, in the spirit of giving, the Church of Latter-day Saints donated eye care equipment to the eye clinic in the Ministry of Health. The equipment donated was 1 portable slit lamp, 1 portable indirect ophthalmoscope, and 1 laptop computer amounting to US $5,396.19. In May 2012, a meeting was held with persons who wanted to assist the eye clinic, and an overview was given as to what was needed. After the overview, the Church of the Latter-day Saints realized there was additional equipment that they could donate to the eye clinic, and this was how the donation came about. Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Griffin Benjamin, says he's extremely pleased that the Church of Latter-day Saints identified the eye clinic for this donation.
We are aware that you are actively with the Church of the Latter-day Saints, that you are actively working in the Dominican Republic, and your experience there, of course, may be very different than your experience will be in Dominica. I'm also aware that you are actively involved in St. Kitts and other islands in the Eastern Caribbean. But from my personal standpoint, my first experience with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
On January 21st, 2013, the ophthalmic unit at the Joseph N. Franz JNF General Hospital, located in St. Kitts, was also the beneficiary of articles for eye care equipment. Again, thanks to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Dr. Griffin informed SAT-TV that consultant ophthalmologist Dr. Hazel Shillingford is providing specialized eye care services to Dominicans.
In other words, people in Dominica have access to optimum, high-quality eye care service. The service is available. There's hardly any type of service that we cannot do with the equipment that we have. And I have known Dr. Shillingford, a very passionate woman when it comes to her work. And that equipment looks so small, but I can tell you, she has big plans for that equipment. Because when one of these things go bad, she struggled for a long time before she can get it replaced. And your donation this morning is going to go a long way.
The eye clinic in the Ministry of Health thanks the Church of Latter-day Saints for this generous contribution and looks forward to working with them in the near future. In more stories, a signing ceremony took place on Thursday, January 24th for the construction of a cafeteria at the Trafalgar Primary School. The project is funded by the Government of Japan under the Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Projects, GGP. Principal of the school, Mrs. Doreen Watt, says this all began in 2011 when they were in a staff meeting where they discussed the observation of the students at lunchtime. What they observed was not in sync with Strand 2 of the Health and Family Life Education National Curriculum Guide, which outlines an entertainment target that the students would benefit from in regards to their diet.
As a matter of fact, there is one of our teachers, Miss Joseph, the chairperson, who takes lunch to school to feed about 7 students on a daily basis on her own. The Seventh-day Adventist Church at Trafalgar also supplies meals 1 day a week to the students. Some students reside out of the village at Fokani, Shawford, Wharton Waven, and at lunchtime their meals are cold. Trafalgar is a very cold place. Well, it's warm today.
On October 13, 2011, the application for a new cafeteria was submitted to the Embassy of Japan in Trinidad and Tobago. In December 2011, representatives of the Japanese Embassy and JICA visited the site and held discussion with the principal of the school.
On January 24, 2012, the parliamentary representative, Dr. Colin McIntyre, contacted me re a government-funded school feeding program for all students at the Trafalgar Primary School. Mrs. Pamela Gist, coordinator of the school feeding program, visited for initial discussions. We further discussed it with the staff, students, and parents. Everyone welcomed the idea again. I informed the Embassy of Japan of the update. Communication continued with all relevant parties, re the cafeteria project and the school feeding program.
Japanese Ambassador, His Excellency Yoshimasa Tezuka, says their contribution of US $36,240 to the school cafeteria project will extend support to the activities of the Trafalgar Primary School. He says the GGP is designed to promote human security in the world by assisting non-profit organizations.
With this project, the Trafalgar Primary School will provide proper foods for the students who have been unable to access it. The nutritional balance is very important for a healthy life, especially for children. I have no doubt that this project is truly the one which meets the basic human needs, and we are very pleased that we can assist this project through the GGP.
He reiterated that providing proper meals for children is an essential need of a household, community, and school. The Minister of Education, Honorable Peter St. Jean, hopes that the cafeteria will add value not only to the operations of the school, but to the general well-being of the students and, by extension, the community. And in court today, one man has found himself in serious hot water as he was slapped with 11 criminal charges when he appeared before Magistrate Ozzie Lewis at the Roseau Magistrate Court on Friday, January 25th. Leslie Lanford of Bath Estate was charged with possession of 15 rounds of 9mm ammunition without a valid firearm license, shooting Albert Stevens Jr. to do grievous bodily harm, possession of a .38 caliber revolver in an attempt to endanger life, and unlawfully and maliciously shooting Carbon Nicholas to do grievous bodily harm. Mr. Lanford was also charged with unlawfully and maliciously shooting Arthur Bozell to do grievous bodily harm, and possession of 6 rounds of .38 caliber live rounds with intent to endanger life. The defendant was also charged with possession of a Glock 19 pistol with intent to endanger life. All these incidents occurred on December 25, 2012 at Canefield. Mr. Lanford was slapped with more charges following an incident in Bath Estate on January 23, 2013. The charges are being in possession of 15 rounds of live 9mm ammunition with intent to endanger life, possession of 6 rounds of live .38 caliber ammunition with intent to endanger life, possession of a .38 caliber revolver with intent to endanger life, and possession of a Glock 19 pistol with intent to endanger life. He was not required to plead as all charges are indictable. Police prosecutor Conrad Constance objected to bail on the grounds that if released, Mr. Langford will interfere with the investigations and witnesses. He also stated that the charges the defendant allegedly committed are very serious offenses, which resulted in 3 men being shot at the Cove nightclub on Christmas Day, while the other patrons at the nightclub ran for their lives in an attempt to escape the gunfire. With that, he said the public's interest must be taken into consideration, and that one of the victims, Mr. Stephen Jr., is still a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital in serious but stable condition, nursing gunshot wounds he suffered from the incident. Though the other 2 victims were treated and released, the prosecutor stated that they made new developments in the case this morning and investigations are still ongoing, so they need more time. Magistrate Ozzie Lewis denied bail while stating bail may be reviewed in 14 days. The trial has been set for May 27, 2013. Mr. Lanford is represented by attorney Zena Dyer. In more court news, Danny Burton and Bob Marshall, both of Kingshill, pled not guilty to possession of 1.22 caliber spent shell and 1 9mm spent shell, not being the holder of a valid firearm license. The incident allegedly occurred in Kingshill on September 26, 2012. Both defendants are on bail. The trial is set to begin on April 2, 2013. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.